There's something strangely familiar about the story of Yusuf Saleh Erekat.
Look at my eyes, I'm gonna myself tonight, live. Kick.com/Fousey, done.
Better known as Fousey Tube. It's a cycle we've seen play out over and over again.
You can call me Fousey, you can call me Yusuf, you can call me Yusuf if you like, but as long as, watch my videos, like my videos, and subscribe to my channel,
The rise to fame, the controversies, the inevitable breakdown, and the desperate attempt at redemption.
Decided to start YouTube from scratch.
At first, his story felt like a dream. A young, charismatic entertainer who broke through the noise of early YouTube. With a style that was equal parts outrageous and heartwarming. He wasn't just another prankster, he was the guy who could make you laugh in one video and cry in the next. His social experiments pulled at your heartstrings, his motivational speeches made you believe in yourself, and his wild energy made it impossible to look away. But behind the smiles, behind the viral videos, and the millions of subscribers, the cracks were already starting to show.
Turn it off, he's being actually stupid.
Fousey Tube wasn't just building an empire, he was building an identity. One that was carefully crafted, meticulously controlled, and dangerously tied to his self-worth. His rise to stardom wasn't just about success, it was about validation. The millions of views, the sponsorship deals, the screaming fans, it was all proof that he mattered, that he was loved, that he was somebody.
I felt worthless, I felt ugly,
And for a while, the world played along. He became one of the most recognizable faces on YouTube, dominating an era of viral entertainment that rewarded extravagance, clickbait, and larger-than-life personalities. His pranks, whether real or staged, racked up millions of views. His social experiments painted him as a selfless advocate for kindness and change.
I want to change the world one smile at a time, and I really do not think that is impossible.
He spoke about his struggles with mental health in a way that felt raw and personal, convincing many that he wasn't just another influencer, he was different.
When I had 0 subscribers, I didn't say, nobody knows me, man. I'm never gonna have 1 million subscribers. I said, no, I'm going to get 1 million subscribers.
But the problem with building a brand on authenticity is that, eventually, the truth comes out. As his fame grew, so did the scrutiny. The social experiments, exposed as scripted, the pranks, fake. The image of the wholesome, inspiring creator, cracking under the weight of his own contradictions. What happens when your entire identity is built on perception? When the love and admiration of millions is the only thing keeping you afloat? For Fousey Tube, the answer was self-destruction.
I have bipolar and depression. That what you put into my head made me want to kill myself!
The once beloved YouTube star began to unravel in real time. His videos became more erratic, his behavior more unpredictable. He jumped from one extreme to the next. 1 minute a motivational speaker, the next a fitness guru, then a rapper, then a spiritual guide. His public breakdowns became spectacles, live-streamed for the world to see. The more people doubted him, the more desperately he fought to prove them wrong. And then came July 15th, 2018. The day Fousey tried to stage the biggest comeback in YouTube history. A concert, a revolution, a movement that would change everything. He promised Drake, world peace, and a night that would be remembered forever. Instead, it ended in chaos, humiliation, and the complete collapse of Fousey Tube as the world knew him. What followed was a cycle of reinvention and relapse. Each comeback met with dwindling faith from his audience. Each apology, each grand plan, each reinvention felt less convincing, less inspiring, less real.
Money, and you give people money and they say yes, Fousey.
Yeah, because I help people. I don't need yes men on the internet to tell me who the I am, you little bitch.
WWE guy.
And yet, here we are again. Today, Fousey is in the middle of yet another transformation. A man who claims to have finally learned from his past. He's embraced faith, discipline, and self-improvement. He's quieter, more reflective, less manic, more measured. But the question remains, has he truly changed? Or is this just another phase in the endless cycle of Fousey Tube? Because if there's one thing we've learned over the years, it's this. A comeback is never just a comeback with Fousey Tube. It's a ticking time bomb. The YouTube landscape was different in the early 2010s. A wild west of viral challenges, skits, and experimental content where personalities were larger than life and authenticity was currency. A young Palestinian American named Youssef Saleh Erekat carved out a space of his own. His channel, Fousey Tube, wasn't just about entertainment, it was about impact. At least, that's what it seemed like at first. The early days? Fousey didn't start on YouTube as a prankster. His early content was a mix of sketches, rants, and cultural commentary, often reflecting on his Middle Eastern background and personal struggles. He had a way of making the mundane feel dramatic, the personal feel universal, and people resonated with it. But the real explosion came when he pivoted to a different style of content: social experiments and pranks. Fousey didn't just want to make people laugh, he wanted to make them feel something. His videos weren't just about humor, they had heart. He staged emotional reunions between strangers, orchestrated situations that tested human kindness, and created scripted pranks that seemed almost too perfect to be real. And that's because they weren't. But at the time, no one was questioning it. The videos were viral gold, racking up millions of views overnight. They were designed to go viral, engineered to evoke emotion. Fousey wasn't just playing the YouTube game, he was mastering it. His rise was meteoric. Millions subscribed to his channel. His name became synonymous with feel-good pranks and heartwarming content. Fans saw him as an inspiration, someone who wasn't just creating mindless entertainment, but changing lives. And yet, beneath the surface, Fousey was already unraveling. Fame, fortune, and the illusion of control. With every viral hit, Fousey grew bolder. Bigger productions, wilder stunts, riskier ideas. He wasn't just making videos anymore. He was crafting a persona.
Believe for my life, I say what's right for my life. I am a champion. I am a hero.
His vlogs showcased the glamorous life of an internet celebrity. Flashy cars, exclusive parties, celebrity friendships. But the highs weren't enough. Fousey didn't just want to be famous. He needed to be loved. He wasn't satisfied with views. He wanted devotion. And when the praise wasn't loud enough, he made sure it was. He created alter egos, staged dramatic moments, and pushed narratives that blurred the lines between reality and fiction. His fans didn't just watch his content, they believed in it. But fame is a dangerous drug, and the dosage kept increasing. As his success skyrocketed, so did the scrutiny. People started noticing inconsistencies. His pranks, once seen as authentic, were being exposed as staged. Former collaborators spoke out. Evidence mounted. His social experiments, supposedly about spreading kindness, were nothing more than scripted performances with paid actors. The image of the wholesome, inspiring creator began to collapse. And yet, Fousey doubled down. Instead of admitting to the fabrications, he played the victim. He lashed out at critics, framing himself as a misunderstood artist, a martyr of internet culture. Anyone who questioned him was a hater. But deep down, he knew the truth. His empire was built on perception, and once that perception was shattered, what was left? Validation and desperation, the beginning of the unraveling. This was where things started to shift. The more people doubted him, the more extreme his content became. He needed to prove he was still on top, still important, still relevant.
Think any celebrity respects TMZ? No, because they are profiting off of other people's misfortune. They are spreading tabloids, they are spreading lies.
His vlogs took a darker turn. His energy became more erratic. One day he was preaching self-love and spirituality. The next he was attacking his own fans for not supporting him enough. He started creating the comeback narratives before he had even left. Every scandal, every backlash became an opportunity for another reinvention. And then, in his most desperate attempt yet, he decided to stage the biggest comeback of all. What followed was one of the most infamous collapses in YouTube history. July 15th, 2018.
Ownership of my life and my power and throwing the biggest event that Los Angeles has ever seen on July 15th. I'm so excited.
Declaring it right. YouTube's gonna stream this event. It's gonna be on the front page. It's gonna have over 1 million concurrent viewers.
A date that was supposed to mark his greatest triumph, but instead became his greatest humiliation. Fame was everything to Fousey. It wasn't just a career, it was his entire identity. But the deeper he chased validation, the more it slipped away. By the time the internet started seeing through the cracks, the fake pranks, the exaggerated emotions, the constant need for attention, Fousey was already standing on a crumbling foundation, and then it all collapsed, to the breaking point when the mask finally slipped. For years, he had balanced on the thin line between entertainer and manipulator.
Y'all fake your whole career. What you talking to me about fake pranks for? I am, you little bitch. God gave me a voice. Shame on y'all. That's my prank.
He pushed the limits of emotional appeal, shifting between vulnerability and bravado whenever the situation demanded it. But by 2018, the act had run its course. His desperate attempts to stay on top had exhausted his audience. They weren't just losing interest, they were turning against him. The fans who once hung on his every word were now dissecting his every move, exposing contradictions and calling him out on the very thing that made him famous, his ability to manipulate reality. And that's when Fousey made the biggest bet of his life. The FouseyCon disaster, a public meltdown in real time. It was meant to be his ultimate comeback, an event so massive, so powerful, that it would silence the haters forever. July 15th, 2018. A concert, a movement, a revolution. He claimed Drake was headlining. He promised a crowd of thousands. He declared it would be the moment he proved everyone wrong. But from the very start, something felt off. The buildup was chaotic. Fousey streamed for hours on end, jumping between manic energy and emotional breakdowns. He spoke of the prophecies and destiny, comparing himself to great leaders and visionaries. His words weren't just ambitious, they were delusional. And then, the day arrived. Thousands of people showed up, but there was no organization, no stage, no Drake. The event was a logistical nightmare. Then, in a surreal twist, a bomb threat forced an evacuation, shutting down Fousey's grand comeback before it even began. Instead of admitting defeat, he doubled down. He claimed the event was still a success because it spread love. He lashed out at critics, insisting he was misunderstood, that his genius was simply ahead of its time. The internet dissected his collapse from every angle. His fans, once loyal beyond reason, felt betrayed. And his critics? They had never been more entertained. Fousey had spent years building himself up as a larger-than-life figure, but now he had become a joke.
I revolutionize how shit is done forever. I promise you.
Dead.
And instead of stepping away, he made it worse. He lashed out at fellow YouTubers, challenged people to fights, and made even more grandiose, impossible promises. He started comparing himself to Kanye West, claiming he was misunderstood, a genius being silenced by the world. His social media became a never-ending cycle of irreverence, breakdowns, and bizarre declarations. And as the views dwindled, the erratic behavior intensified, because if people weren't going to love him, at least they were still watching. The livestream era, a desperate cling to relevance. By 2022, Fousey had become a shadow of his former self. The polished, high-energy prankster was gone, replaced by a man spiraling in real time. His live streams were train wrecks, chaotic, unpredictable, often humiliating. One moment, he'd be making heartfelt speeches about redemption and self-improvement. The next, he'd be screaming at his chat, breaking down in tears, or picking fights with his own fans. His content wasn't entertainment anymore, it was the spectacle. And deep down, he knew it. He wasn't creating content because he loved it. He was streaming out of desperation. Desperation to stay relevant, desperation to feel important, desperation to matter. But the audience had changed. They weren't watching out of admiration anymore. They were watching to see how much further he could fall. And then, he disappeared. The redemption arc. Real or another illusion. Months passed. No videos, no live streams. Just silence. And then, he returned.
I'm not even gonna sit here and say sorry but like I'm trying to explain to y'all, like now that my adrenaline dumped and I'm back to Yusuf and I open Twitter and I see what Fousey did, I'm like...
This time, he was different. A new Fousey, a man on a mission of self-discovery. He spoke about his renewed faith in Islam, his commitment to self-discipline, his desire to rebuild himself, not as an entertainer, but as a man. He embraced Ramadan, used his platform to discuss spirituality, and distanced himself from the chaos of his past. For the first time in years, he seemed at peace. But was it real? Fousey had reinvented himself too many times for people to take this transformation at face value. His life had been a cycle of extreme highs and devastating lows. Was this a true turning point? Or was it just another act? Another chapter in the endless saga of Fousey Tube? Because if history had taught us anything, it was this. Fousey always comes back. The question is, who will he be next time? In the world of online entertainment, few figures have been as polarizing, as tragic, and as undeniably compelling as Youssef Saleh Erekat. His story has played out like a never-ending loop, a man clawing his way to the top, only to come crashing down, time and time again. And now, after all the breakdowns, all the apologies, and all the supposed rebirths, we're left with one final question. Has Fousey Tube truly changed, or is this just another act in the grand performance of his life? Audience reactions. Believers versus skeptics. Fousey Tube's latest transformation has sparked a divided response from the internet. Some fans believe in his redemption arc, convinced that his recommitment to Islam and his newfound discipline during Ramadan are signs of genuine change. They see a man who has faced his demons and is finally emerging stronger, more self-aware, and ready to live a life of integrity. But others aren't so easily convinced. They've seen this pattern before. The passionate promises, the grand declarations of a fresh start, the newfound wisdom, only for it all to unravel again in a matter of months. His critics argue that Fousey thrives on reinvention, that every downfall is just a setup for his next big comeback. And in an age where attention is currency, the cycle of destruction and redemption may just be his most lucrative content strategy yet.
I wasn't scared to send him a message to say, I want to speak to you, man. I have a message, I'm on a mission. I just need 30 seconds of your time, and I promise you'll understand. July 15th is gonna change the world. I promise to have more eyes on this event than the president does on our country. And I need your energy for that to happen, excuse me.
If there's one thing history has taught us, it's that Fousey Tube never truly disappears. He might fall off the radar, he might claim to be done with social media, he might even swear that this time is different, but sooner or later, he always resurfaces. And when he does, it's usually bigger, louder, and more extreme than before. The cycle is predictable.
I paid $13,500 a month to live by myself.
And yet, we keep watching. Whether out of admiration, morbid curiosity, or the simple human desire to see how the story unfolds, we remain invested in his journey. Fousey isn't just a YouTuber, he's a character in an unscripted drama that never ends. And as long as he's willing to put his life on display, the internet will always have a front row seat. The bigger picture, the cost of fame. But Fousey's story isn't just about him. It's a reflection of something bigger, the dark side of internet fame, the toll of living for validation, and the impossible expectations placed on creators who build their lives around an audience. When your self-worth is tied to views and engagement, when every aspect of your identity becomes part of your brand, where do you draw the line between reality and performance? Fousey's highs and lows are more extreme than most, but at their core, they mirror the struggles of countless influencers who find themselves trapped in a never-ending pursuit of relevance. Mental health, authenticity, redemption, these are themes that extend far beyond one YouTuber. And in a world where online personas are constantly evolving, the question remains, is true change ever possible? Or are we all just watching different versions of the same story play out over and over again? The unanswered question. So, is this Fousey Tube's final chapter? Has he truly broken the cycle? Or are we just witnessing the beginning of the next rise, the next fall, and the next inevitable comeback? Only time will tell, but if history has taught us anything, we'll be here to watch.